You know, as much as I love my cordial, I think for this episode at least I should be wearing this instead. Welcome back to my cooking series, where for today I'm going to be doing not a whole lot of actual cooking per se. I mean, I am going to be using the stove and I think the microwave at one point, but really this is meant to be more of a frozen treat that's going to help you get through the remainder of these hot summer months. For today on Kirakira Precure Sweets IRL, we're taking a crack at Aoi's Lion Ice Cream. Best part about this recipe is that it doesn't require an ice cream maker, just our usual tools that I've used throughout this series. The trade-off to that is that there are a few extra steps than normal, but we'll get to that in just a bit. First of all, let's take a look at our ingredients for the vanilla ice cream. We're going to need 1 egg yolk, 45 grams of sugar, 8 milliliters of milk, half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Again, the website didn't give me an exact measurement and in fact suggested vanilla essence, which is basically artificial vanilla made from wood. Don't know about you, but I only have space in my kitchen for the real stuff. We're also going to need 100 milliliters of heavy cream, surprisingly not being used just for decoration this time. But first up, we gotta blend our egg yolk and sugar together until it's all nice and smooth. Next up, I'm going to get out my portable stove again and just going to heat up the milk until it's just about boiling. Kill the heat and slowly add to your egg mixture. Now if this at all feels familiar, it's because we're essentially making custard again. Granted a much smaller amount, but custard nonetheless. So again, we're going to strain this mixture, but this time back into the saucepan, as I'm just going to heat it over medium-low to help smooth it out. Once the custard achieves this nice glossy consistency, I'm going to take it off the heat again, stir in the vanilla extract, and transfer it into a bowl. Next up, we're going to whip up this heavy cream. Now since all of my bowls were being either used or in the sink, I thought I'd just try to whip this stuff up while we're still in the container. This was not a good idea, as my hand mixer wasn't quite long enough to reach down to the bottom of the cream. I managed to whip it all up by tipping the container, but that was a lot more work than it needed to be. Unless I get a hand blender, I'm not gonna try this again. Still, I managed to whip it into soft peaks and folded it into the custard to make it all nice and light. There now, I'm just gonna throw some plastic wrap on top and this is going into my freezer for a couple hours. 2 hours later, and I'm just going to take my hand mixer to it and loosen it up a bit. And back into the freezer it goes for about another 3 hours, after which we're going to repeat this process. Yeah, you might have been able to tell this by the changing of my lighting, but I've been doing this for a while now. In fact, I've been doing this since 6 o'clock in the morning, and now it's 11 o'clock. Aoi's recipe may be listed as the easiest amongst the original 5, but it's anything but the fastest. Anyway, after softening up the ice cream a second time, we're going to start putting together the second component of this recipe, the gelato as it's called, even though it's really technically more of a sorbet, but whatever. For it, we're going to need 5 grams of powdered gelatin, 2 tablespoons of water, 100 milliliters of carbonated water, 2 to 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 120 milliliters of blue Hawaiian shaved ice syrup.
Yeah, I heard somewhere that the name and the flavor come from this blue-colored cocktail. I also heard that it's called the Blue Hawaii because it's named after the movie Blue Hawaii.
Now, interesting thing about this last ingredient, I thought for sure I'd be able to find it at my local supermarket. After all, I live in Honolulu, the city where the Blue Hawaii was originally made. But nope, nowhere to be found. I actually had to go to a Japanese mini mart near my place to find this. Now I don't know what it's like on the mainland, but if you're going to do this recipe, you might need to go to some kind of Japanese import store to get this stuff. Anyway, first we gotta let the gelatin bloom in the normal water for a bit. Give that a good mix, and on to the rest of the ingredients. Just gonna throw everything into a container, the carbonated water, the lemon juice, the sugar, which makes an awesome sound in the water by the way. And the Blue Hawaii that was not actually made in Hawaii. Give that a good stir, and now I'm just gonna take a look at how our gelatin's doing. This is the first time I'm actually working with this stuff. I wonder what it smells like. Oh geez! Yup, that definitely smells like the boiled off remains of a cow carcass. I just threw it into the microwave for about 10 seconds to completely melt it down. There we go, and it still smells awful. Now we're just gonna take a couple tablespoons of our blue liquid to help dissolve it further, and hopefully kill off that rancid smell in the process. Hell of it, I'm throwing in an extra tablespoon. Okay, now I'm just gonna throw this semi-stinky liquid into the rest of the mixture and give it a good stir. And into the freezer this goes for a couple hours. We are now officially 6 hours into this recipe and I'm getting pretty antsy. I just want to try this thing already. Taking a look at our gelato, it's coming together nicely. I just cut it up with my fork and then spooned in about 2/3 of the vanilla ice cream in. We don't have to use all of it, just enough to produce a nice little white and blue marble pattern, and in fact we're going to need to save some of this vanilla for later. And now I'm just going to mix it up. The vanilla ice cream gives this stuff actual structure as opposed to just being frozen jello. Back in the freezer it goes as we prep our decorations. At this point in this series, you can guess what's coming next. 100 milliliters of heavy cream, 2 teaspoons of sugar, a single almond, and of course, the chocolate pen. Yeah, I just pray for the day when I get the recipe that won't involve these things. Whip up the cream and sugar with the usual ice water bath method until we achieve soft peaks and then into the piping bag. Now it's time for assembly. Get a good big scoop of this stuff, pipe on whipped cream main for our king, and then actually give him a head for his main with some of the leftover vanilla ice cream. A couple of ears made from a halved almond, and last and certainly least, gotta draw on some eyes, nose, and a tail. Again, the pen jammed up partway through, but I'm used to it at this point. And you know what? That's not a half bad looking lion. His ears are drooping a little, but we could just say he's the cowardly lion's cousin or something. Hey, it's more believable than casting Mila Kunis as the Wicked Witch. As for taste, I was actually really excited about this recipe since it is the most unique amongst the Precure, and while it wasn't quite as tasty as Himari's pudding, this was an interesting little dessert I have to say. It was really refreshing, but also tasted like nothing I've really had before. I could taste the lemon, the blue Hawaii, the carbonated water gave it a nice fizziness. Actually, it tasted like a cream soda version of blue Hawaii, minus the rum obviously. Maybe I'll throw it in next time. Overall though, I really like this recipe, just wish I didn't have to spend all morning on it. The recipe actually says you can use store-bought vanilla ice cream, which is probably what I'm going to do next time because other than that, I really like this recipe. It tastes really good, and when you take away the actual ice cream making part, it's one of the most hassle-free recipes you'll ever make. Just throw all of your gelato ingredients together, cover your nose when you're blooming the gelatin, and 2 hours later you'll have something that'll enhance any Play-Doh batch of vanilla. Still, for a great dessert based on something created in this city, I think it deserves to be enjoyed the proper way. Okay, open up my fence.